These are conferences organized by mascots in College Football 26 Dynasty. So I like the randomness of the video that we did yesterday where we had teams swapping teams from same state swapping conferences. So we're kind of doing something similar to that, but we're doing it based on mascots. So we've got them all organized into separate categories, starting with the American. These are warriors of some kind. Army, Black Knights, East Carolina Pirates, Hawaii Rainbow Warriors, Illinois Fighting Illini, Notre Dame Fighting Irish, Navy Midshipmen, Mid-Tennessee Blue Raiders, Michigan State Spartans, Ole Miss Rebels, Rutgers Scarlet Knights, San Jose State Spartans, Tennessee Volunteers, UMass Minutemen, UCF Knights, Troy Trojans, Texas Tech Red Raiders, UNLV Rebels, USC Trojans, Vanderbilt Commodores, and Virginia Cavaliers. This is weather phenomena and colors plus one extra. So there's not that many things in this, but still, Alabama Crimson Tide, Iowa State Cyclones, Miami Hurricanes. Here's the bonus, Ohio State Buckeyes. It's just a plant. There's no other just plant mascot, so they are in the ACC here. Tulsa Golden Hurricane, Tulane Green Wave. They hit both color and weather phenomena. Syracuse Orange and Stanford Cardinal. The Big Ten, these are just people from a place. A lot of Native Americans here, and then just names of people from the state. So Central Michigan Chippewas is Native American. Florida State Seminoles. Indiana Hoosiers are just people from Indiana. Louisiana Ragin' Cajuns are just angry people from Louisiana, I guess. San Diego State Aztecs, Old Dominion Monarchs. They kind of just went with people from a place because you're just kind of born into being a monarch. So that's what we did there. Oklahoma Sooners, people that wanted to go to Oklahoma faster. North Carolina Tar Heels. It could be like people that have a job, which there is another one for laborers, but this one, it just fits because that's the name of people from North Carolina from way back when, and we wanted to kind of pump this conference up a little bit more. Utah Utes and then Virginia Tech Hokies. Again, could be birds because it is a turkey as their mascot, but really it's just like a chant and just a name for people that go to Virginia Tech or play at Virginia Tech or work at Virginia Tech. So a really unique mascot. It's going to just be people from a place. Big 12 is mostly made up things like what's the word for it? Fictional creatures, I guess, but there's some other ones too. So Akron Zips, they're just named after a zipper factory that was in the town. Their mascot's technically a kangaroo, but they're called the Zips because there was a zipper factory in Akron. Toledo Rockets. I mean, there's not really a good place to put the Rockets, so they went here. UAB Blazers is Dragon, obviously Arizona State Sun Devils, Duke Blue Devils, and then the Marshall Thundering Herd is just like a pack of animals. So they fit here better than anywhere else. These are wild animals in Conference USA. Baylor Bears, California Golden Bears, Cincinnati Bearcats. We went back and forth on whether it should be counted as a bear or a cat. Ran out of space for cats, so they are a bear. Florida Gators, Minnesota Golden Gophers, Michigan Wolverines, Maryland Terrapins, Turtle, Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets, Missouri State Bears, Oregon State Beavers, Sam Houston Bearcats, again, bear, not a cat, TCU Horned Frogs, Wisconsin Badgers, UCLA Bruins. Nobody's independent. MAC, these are horses, bovine, and farm animals. The Razorbacks fit in here because we're going to count them as a pig. Arkansas State Razorbacks, Boise State Broncos, Buffalo Bulls, Coastal Carolina Chanticleers, Jacksonville State Gamecocks, Delaware Blue Hens, Colorado State Rams, Colorado Buffaloes, Oregon Ducks, SMU Mustangs, South Carolina Gamecocks, Texas Longhorns, USF Bulls, Western Michigan Broncos. I know most of these are technically wild animals because they're specifically talking about wild horses, and basically the Longhorns are the only ones that are specifically a farm animal. But we kind of had it originally as horses and bovines, and we had the Razorbacks in here, and then there's so many goddamn birds, we need to figure out a way to split up the birds, so we went with birds that could be farm animals. Ducks probably the stretch, but there's definitely a lot of farms with ducks in them, especially in Oregon. I don't know if blue hens are specifically talking about hens, or if there's a specific bird in the Northeast that is called a blue hen, but whatever. And then Gamecocks, Chanticleers, Gamecocks, they're roosters, essentially. So, this is dogs, easy. Arkansas State Red Wolves, Fresno State Bulldogs, Georgia Bulldogs, JMU Dukes, NC State Wolfpack, Northern Illinois Huskies, Mississippi State Bulldogs, Louisiana Tech Bulldogs, Nevada Wolfpack, New Mexico Lobos. If you don't know Spanish, that is Wolves. Yukon Huskies, Washington Huskies. Pac-12 Cats, Arizona Wildcats, Auburn Tigers, BYU Cougars, Clemson Tigers, Kansas State Wildcats, Houston Cougars, Georgia State Panthers, FIU Panthers, Kentucky Wildcats, LSU Tigers, Memphis Tigers, Missouri Tigers, Pitt Panthers, Penn State Nittany Lions, Ohio Bobcats, Northwestern Wildcats, South Alabama Jaguars, Texas State Bobcats, and Washington State Cougars. Only the Nittany Lions and Jaguars are not copies of other mascots. Very easy to make a cat mascot. SEC, these are laborers, so just people that have a job. App State Mountaineers, Charlotte 49ers, they are minors. Nebraska Cornhuskers, New Mexico State Aggies, UTEP Miners, Texas A&M Aggies, Purdue Boilermakers, OSU or Oklahoma State Cowboys, Utah State Aggies, Western Kentucky Hilltoppers. I don't know if that should more be a warrior or more be a person from a place, but I thought that they were a job, so that's what we're going to put them in. Wake Forest Demon Deacons, West Virginia Mountaineers, and Wyoming Cowboys. Finally, birds. Air Force Falcons, Ball State Cardinals, Boston College Eagles, Bowling Green Falcons, Eastern Michigan Eagles, Florida Atlantic Owls, Georgia Southern Eagles, Iowa Hawkeyes, Liberty Flames, Kent State Golden Flashes, Kennesaw State Owls, Kansas Jayhawks, which is not a real bird, but it's two flighted birds, so they get in here, Louisville Cardinals, Miami University Redhawks, North Texas Mean Green, Rice Owls, UTSA Roadrunners, UL Monroe Warhawks, Temple Owls, and Southern Mississippi Golden Eagles. I'm actually going to make a couple changes here. I'm going to take the Mean Green, and I'm going to put them in Weather Phenomena and Colors. I'm going to take the Golden Flashes and put them in Weather Phenomena and Colors. Boost that, because we got plenty of birds. We need some more in that one. And then, what was the other one that I wanted? Jayhawks are going to go in Mystical Creatures, because the Jayhawks are not real. They are not a real... Can we get one more in there? Can we get one more that's not a real thing out of one of these bigger conferences? A Nittany Lion is not a real thing. A Nittany Lion is not a real thing. It is just a lion with the name of the area. So they're going to go into the Big 12 as well. I think that's a better fit for Penn State anyway. Okay, now we have at least 8 team conferences. We're going to go and sim 3 seasons and see what happens. So here we are at the first CFP rankings. I went with Tulsa because I like their mascot, and this is a mascot one, so I went with one of my favorite mascots in the country, although I do think the Ducks is the best mascot in the country, not a biased opinion. Okay, so Oklahoma is our number 1 team in the country. They're leading the Big 10, which is the people from a place conference. Miami is ruling our conference. They are the best Hurricane team. I think we're the second best Hurricane team. Texas Tech is leading the American, which is the Warriors Conference. The Ducks are second in the MAC, which is led by Texas, because they are undefeated in the conference. So, but they're the top team there. Illinois is... So the American looks to be one of the strongest ones because they have all those Warrior mascots, which is definitely popular for schools that care about football for sure. So I think we're going to see a strong American. The Bulldogs are leading the Dogs. Nittany Lions are leading the fictional characters. Kansas State is leading the Cats. SMU is third in the MAC. Okay, interesting. Do we see any... Okay, so Texas State is a surprising team up this far, number 21. I don't think I've ever seen Texas State ranked. They are 5th in the Cats division. The Cats have a couple of them up here. Or maybe they're just... Let's see, why are they so high up? They had 3 straight byes. That's a crazy thing. They're basically playing a bowl game in week 5 when they beat Kansas State, one of the leaders in the Pac-12. That's a big reason why they're up there so high. These non-conference games... Okay, they lost to BYU by quite a bit, but BYU is not ranked. So they have 2 losses. They beat a dog. Cats beat the Dogs. Okay, interesting. I don't know why they're ranked so high, but let's take a look at our conference standings in the Weather Phenomena and Colors. So we're in last place. Okay, so not super great for Tulsa from the first season. Have we played Stanford yet? Lost to Oregon State in the opening weekend, so we don't have a FBS win. but we still get to play Stanford, so we might not end up at the bottom, and we did beat North Texas, which might kick them out of a bowl game. So a couple big things for us, but we do play Alabama this week, which is not great. Let's sim to the conference championships and see what's going on. All right, Tulsa is 2-10, not a good start for us. I might get fired this season, who knows? Okay, so in our conference, we have Miami, who was leading the conference most of the year, against Ohio State. So Ohio State, as the kind of stick-out mascot, does make the conference championship game, but doesn't look like they're going to make the college football playoff. UCF, interesting, is in this. The American Conference is a lot of good teams, and UCF is most likely in the playoff, win or lose. Texas Tech is undefeated, number 1 seed, can clinch it with a win there. The Big 12, which is the fictional characters, for lack of a better term, is led by Penn State, who is a late addition, but doesn't look like they're going to get a team in the playoff. The Big 10, People from a Place, has 2 teams with a shot at the playoff there. Conference USA, probably not going to get anybody in, even though they have strong mascots, being Wild Animals. The Farm Animal Division has 2 teams that are in the playoff, SMU and Oregon, fighting for a first-round bye. That's what this game is really for, similar to the Big Ten championship game of this year. The Dogs division is led by the Bulldogs. Wolfpack, probably not going to make the playoff. The Cats division, we got 2 teams in the top 10 in the Cats division. This is the Laborers division. A&M is probably in the playoff either way. It doesn't look like West Virginia has a chance to make it in. Louisville could very well make it in here as the 5th, right? 1, 2, 3, 4... 5. Okay, so 6. So Louisville doesn't have really a chance, but they could maybe get in as a 12 team, depending on what happens with UCF, Florida State, and maybe they could jump the 12th team depending on who that is. Let's go see what the top 25 looks like. See if there's anybody shocking in there. So the 12th team is Texas, who's coming off of a loss, it looks like. So maybe Louisville could make the jump there. Oh, no, they beat Jacksonville State. So they have 2 top 5 wins. Texas should not drop out. But they lost to Western Michigan, and they lost to Ohio State, who's unranked. So I don't know. We'll see. Not really any surprising teams. Illinois, I guess, is kind of surprising up in the top there. I think that some of these divisions are top-heavy, which has helped some of these lower down teams. Tulane's our only G5, classic G5 team that's in there, but UCF is surprising as well. We'll see if they end up making it. Well, John Mateer wins the Heisman Trophy in the first season. What else is new? Let's see what this bracket looks like. Okay, so Texas Tech did win, gets the number 1 overall seed. Oregon and SMU just swap places based on the MAC championship game. Oregon will be in the Cotton Bowl. SMU will be in the Sugar Bowl. Seems like Texas Tech should have gotten the Cotton Bowl, but that's fine. Oklahoma, with Heisman Trophy winner John Mateer, wins the People from Places Conference, and they will be in the Rose Bowl. We have Texas and Miami. Yet again, if you watch the video from yesterday, we had 6 matchups between Texas and Miami being in the same conference. It was a barn burner of a video with those 2. So check that one out if you haven't seen it yet. It's the Freaky Friday same state swap video. Check that one out if you haven't seen it yet. Georgia and Louisville will face off in the Cotton Bowl. So Louisville did find their way in as the number 11 team. So they crept up a few places based on how the conference championships went. Illinois and A&M will be facing off to take on Texas Tech in the second round, and then Clemson wins the Cats division, but they do face off against Kansas State. That might even be a rematch of the conference championship game for the Cats division with the winner take on there. So we have 2 from the Cats. I'm not going to call them by their conference name. I'm just going to do the logos because I can't remember the conferences. 2 from the Cats. 1 from the Birds with Louisville. 1, 2, 3 from the Farm Animals. 1 from the Weather Phenomena and Colors with Miami. 1 from the Laborers with A&M. 2 from the Warriors with Illinois and Texas Tech. 1 from the People from Places with Oklahoma, and 1 from the Dogs with the Bulldogs from Georgia. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 conferences represented in our first playoff. That's what we're looking for. I've decided I'm jumping ship every season this year, or for this sim, because I want to change the mascot that we have. So we're going to Akron in 3 weeks. We'll be coaching the Zips. What's going on with this playoff? So Kansas State wins the Cat Bowl. They win by 7. They will take on SMU in the Sugar Bowl. A&M beats the Fighting Illini in the Laborers versus the Warriors Bowl. We get another Laborers versus Warriors Bowl in the Orange Bowl with A&M in Texas. It's also a Texas Bowl. Georgia takes care of business for the Dogs, beats the Birds. They will take on another bird from the Farm Animals division when they take on Oregon in the Dan Lanning Bowl in the Cotton Bowl. Miami gets past Texas. The saga continues. They win by 21. They win for the Colors and Weather Phenomena. They will take on People from a Place when they face off against Oklahoma in the Rose Bowl. We have a bit of a destiny run going on. Kansas State gets their second straight victory. The number 12 seed will take on the number 1 seed in the Peach Bowl after Kansas State gets past SMU. The Cats division has 2 wins. They win by 11 against SMU. The Warriors get their first win after taking down Texas Tech takes down A&M in the Warriors versus Labor Bowl Volume 2. Texas Tech will take on Kansas State in the Peach Bowl. Oregon gets past Georgia for the Farm Animals. They are the lone representative for the Farm Animals in the semifinal. And Miami continues to put the Colors/Weather Phenomena on their back when they beat Oklahoma by 7. And they beat the Heisman Trophy winner, John Mateer. They will take on Oregon in the Mario Cristobal Bowl in the Fiesta Bowl. Okay, a very familiar first-year college football playoff championship game between Miami and Texas Tech. Texas Tech takes care of Kansas State's destiny run, beating them by 15 in the semifinal. Oregon loses to Miami by 2 in the Mario Cristobal Bowl. So we have the Warriors versus the Weather Phenomena/Colors national championship game in the first season. Of course, Miami gets a home game in the first season. And Miami yet again gets the first national championship game in one of our sims. The Weather Phenomena/Colors conference is the starter of the best conference. Miami starts off as the best team. We'll see if any of this holds up next season because there are some random conferences out there. Before we look at the first CFP, don't forget to subscribe. Nobody else is making College Football 26 videos where they're just yelling random shit at you for a half hour and giving you these random college football conference realignment. So make sure that you subscribe and like the video before we go any further. Now, the CFP poll. We've got Florida at the top, leading Conference USA. We didn't see much out of Florida last season. Oregon did make the playoff last season. They are first in the MAC, which is the Farm Animals. We have Nittany Lions as the number 1 in the Fictional Creatures. Illinois is back towards the top of American, which had a very strong showing in the first season with Texas Tech making it to the national championship game. Miami won our national championship game last season. They just lost to Alabama, but they're still a top 5 team leading the Colors and Weather Phenomena conference. Oklahoma won the Heisman Trophy last season. Damn, I got to sneeze. I was trying to make it through, but I couldn't. Okay, we got Texas that's also in the Farm Animals. Clemson was in last season with Kansas State from the Cats. We have any other? We have Florida State in the People from Places. Ohio State, who wasn't very good last season, is kind of towards the top of this conference, which started off as the best conference with the Colors and Weather Phenomena and has 3 teams in the top 12 currently. We hadn't had anybody from the Wild Animals conference. Baylor is kind of fighting for the top of that. Anybody new? Tulane is back up in there. Arkansas just lost to Oregon from the Farm Animals. So a couple more Wild Animals, UCLA, TCU, Baylor, but we still haven't seen them in there yet. We had 8 conferences make the CFP last season. Let's go to the conference championship games and see if we're anywhere close this season. Akron was 7-6 last season. They're 3-9 this season. So we're basically just moving from place to place, ruining a college football program and then moving on. Okay. From our Wild Animals conference, which we didn't have any representatives from last season, Florida is going to be taking on UCLA. Looks like Florida's in, win or lose. UCLA could find their way in. The Cats could struggle to get in. They had a strong showing last year with 2 teams, and Kansas made a little bit of a run from the 12 seed. Kansas State did. Clemson could get their way back in. They're undefeated this season, but they had to win this to stay in the CFP. Our Dogs are led by Georgia yet again. Washington could get the win here, but I don't think that they will find their way into the playoff based on what else we're seeing there. We did have well represented from the same MAC championship from last season. The Farm Animals were well represented with 3 teams last year. It looks like maybe less, but at least one should be in with Oregon there. The Mystical Creatures last year were unrepresented? No, Penn State might have made it in, but I don't think that they got a win. So this would be good for them this year. The Birds were represented by Louisville last year, who snuck in at the end of the season. They're 11-1 this year, but it doesn't look like they're going to make it in unless there is a miracle. Illinois is dominating so far. They were 7 or 8 seed last year. They're the 1 seed right now going into the conference championship game weekend. If they get a win, they will seal that. Tennessee could potentially get a first round bye with a victory in the American championship game. The Warriors championship game. So they probably are well represented, I would imagine, in the playoff. Doesn't look like the Laborers are going to make it in. They did make it in last year with A&M. Maybe there's someone that's not in the conference championship game, a la Miami, that might make it in, but we'll see. This is the People from Places. They are well represented here. They only had 1 team in last year with Oklahoma. They've got at least 2 this year. And then, of course, our leader in the clubhouse for best conference, the Weather Phenomena and Colors, looks like they for sure have Miami in, who is our defending national champion, and then Alabama might find their way in, win or lose, depending on what happens behind them. Let's look at the top 25. So we saw most of these teams represented. Actually, all of these teams besides Texas were represented. UCLA is in their conference championship game against Florida. If they get the win, Texas falls out. Otherwise, you probably have Texas in as the last team and every other one of these teams made it to their conference championship game. This is a good conference realignment. So let's see what the bracket looks like. Kevin Jennings wins the Heisman out of SMU. I don't think that they made the college football playoff, though, because they would have had to win the MAC championship and have a couple things go on. So let's see what the bracket looks like. Okay, so Tennessee did get the victory in the Warriors conference. They get into the top 4 over Illinois. USC dropped out for TCU, who I don't think was in a conference championship game. So that's an interesting flip. That's a Notre Dame Miami flip for you right there. So TCU and Florida will face off. The winner will take on Illinois. Texas is back in this season. We'll have to wait for a national championship game to see if we get another Miami-Texas game. Very well could happen. But the winner of Texas and Georgia will take on Oklahoma. That's a classic SEC kind of quadrant there, but we've got 3 different conferences in our particular lineup. Alabama versus Oregon, the winner will take on Tennessee. Penn State versus Florida State, the winner will take on Miami. So for new teams, TCU, Florida, Alabama, Florida State, and Tennessee are all new teams. I think Penn State was in last season. I can't quite remember. You will let me know in the comments for sure. Conferences. We have Wild Animals, TCU, and Florida are from the Wild Animals. They were not represented last season. That's 1 conference. The Farm Animals, Oregon and Texas, both in last season. That's 2 conferences. Georgia representing the Dogs. That's 3 conferences. Colors and Weather Phenomena represented by Alabama and Miami. That's 4 conferences. Penn State, the Fictional Animals. That's 5 conferences. Tennessee and Illinois, that's Warriors, 6 conferences. Florida State and Oklahoma, People from a Place, that's 7 conferences we have in this season. 1 less than last season, but we get a new conference represented with the Wild Animals in the top part of the bracket there. Still, no G5 teams, no traditional G5 teams have made it in this conference setup. Somehow we were offered another head coaching job. We're going to Oklahoma State in 2 weeks. We actually upgrade the job after winning 5 games total in 2 seasons. Okay, so our first round matchups. TCU gets the victory in the Wild Animals Bowl. They win by 1 point against Florida. They will take on Illinois in the Cotton Bowl. They get a home game over Illinois. We saw the 12 seed win their first round matchup 2 years in a row. Last year, the 12 seed beat the 4 seed as well. So we'll see if that continues. We get a Red River shootout in the Orange Bowl after Texas doubles up with Georgia. In the first round, we'll have the People from Places and the Farm Animals in the Orange Bowl. Alabama gets past Oregon by 1. They'll take on Tennessee. So it's the Warriors versus Colors / Weather Phenomena in the second round. An all Florida Bowl in the Peach Bowl as Florida State represents the People from Places, gets past the Fictional Animals, and it's People from Places versus Weather Phenomena / Colors in the Peach Bowl. Illinois stops the Destiny run for TCU, but that is 2 straight seasons that the 12 seed has gotten a win. We'll keep track if that will happen again next season. Illinois wins by 2 tuds. Texas doubles up yet again. They doubled up Georgia in the first round, double up Oklahoma in the Orange Bowl. They will take on Illinois in the Rose Bowl. That is Farm Animals versus Warriors. We have an all-conference matchup in the bottom part of the bracket. We get the color side of the conference. We get the weather phenomena side of the conference. Alabama beats Tennessee by 18. Miami beats Florida State by 21. Miami's looking for their second straight national championship game. Either way, we will have the weather phenomena / Colors in the national championship for the second straight season, potentially clinching their spot if they get the win in that national championship game. Alabama stops the repeat bid for Miami. They are the team that will be representing the Colors / Weather Phenomena Conference in the national championship game. They'll be facing off against Texas, who stopped their double-up streak just by 3 points after they beat Illinois in the Rose Bowl. So it's Alabama versus Texas. Based on their run so far, Texas seems to be the favorite in Vegas for this season and for the Farm Animals Conference. And Texas gets the win. 4 straight double-digit victories in the playoffs. They win the 2026 National Championship for the Farm Animal Division, keeping the video alive for Best Conference. The Farm Animals almost certainly need to get a victory in the last season, or we need the Warriors to get a victory and have the Farm Animal Division the Color / Weather Conference not get into the semifinal or national championship game for them to potentially take it. We'll see what actually happens. This video is so fucking hard to remember the names of the conferences. We're going to see if there's any conferences that haven't made it. The other thing we're looking for is, can the 12 seed get a victory in 3 straight seasons? Before the season starts, let's make sure that every conference has made it so far. So yes, we know that this conference has made it. Yes, we know that the Warriors have made it. The Big 12, yes, we got Penn State out of there. Yes, we've got couple teams out of there. Conference USA, yes, we just had Florida out of there. MAC, we have been well represented for the Farm Animal Conference. We've got the Dogs in there a couple times. This is the Cats division. We've had the Cats in there a couple times. We've had the Laborers in there from A&M in the first season, and then we had the Birds in there for last season. So all 10 conferences have been represented in the playoffs so far, which is also a victory for this video. Let's go to the CFP poll. We got more wins at Oklahoma State this season than we've had in the first 2 seasons combined. They got the right hire, because also Oklahoma State only had 5 wins last season, so we're turning it around for them here where's Oklahoma State? At Oklahoma State, whatever city they're in. All right, Miami is back towards the top. They're really looking like they're going to be the best team in the video here, especially if they make another run here. They've got USC in a non-conference matchup here. Florida was also towards the top last season. We have Michigan for the first time up there out of the Wild Animals division. So Wild Animals division has been doing pretty well in the regular season so far. Penn State out of the Fictionals. The SMU has been a very good team so far out of the Farm Animals division. The Warriors with Tennessee. Baylor, for the first time, we see Baylor was kind of hovering around last season. So Wild Animals didn't have a great start, but they have been doing pretty well here. Dogs, of course, represented by Georgia every single season. Clemson representing the Cats. Yeah, 5 teams, right? 4 teams in the top 12, 5 teams in the top 15 for the Wild Animals. North Carolina is a new team. Virginia Tech, Arizona State, these are all... Arizona State was pretty good last season, but Virginia Tech we haven't seen. LSU we haven't seen up there. So still no traditional G5 teams, but we do have a pretty diverse representation in the CFP poll. Let's look at our conference standings. What are we in here? We are in the Laborers division, so SEC. All right, we're fighting for the top of the division there. Doesn't look like we're going to get a representative in the college football playoff unless it's Nebraska. Who did we lose to? We lost to, oh my God, we lost to Tulsa in the first game and Arkansas in the third game. Other than that, we've been undefeated in conference, and we have a pretty clear path to at least make the conference championship game here in our first season at Oklahoma State. Stillwater. Oklahoma State is in Stillwater. I had to look that up. As you can see, Oklahoma State is not in a conference championship game because they were 6-2 and now they are 6-6. So we qualified for a bowl game, improved from last season, but other than that, not super great at the end of the season. All right, Michigan versus Florida here in the Wild Animals Bowl. Florida was in last season. Doesn't look like they're going to make it back in unless they win and get some help. We might have double the dogs. We might get double dog dared in this CFP if Washington probably gives them the better chance, but either way, they might still make it in with both teams. We've got the Farm Animals represented. Texas could make it to their third straight, should make it to their third straight, and they won last season. So it's going to be a battle between Miami and Texas. If Texas improves their spot or Miami loses, maybe we get them in a national championship game. That would be, if you watch 2 straight videos and this was the final of that video, oh my God, that would be mwah, chef's kiss. The Laborers division doesn't look like they're going to make it in. We got the Warriors doubled up there, 2-3, probably 2 first-round buys out of that conference. God damn it, I keep sneezing. And then, of course, Miami is at the top. Let's look at the CFP poll. Top 25, see where we're at, if there's any teams that could be making it in. So Oregon doesn't look like they're going to make it in for the third time. TCU, who made a run from the 12 seed last year, or at least got a win from the 12 seed last year, looks like they're going to be in. If one of these teams is at the 12 seed, we'll have 3 straight seasons with a purple team as a 12 seed and potentially 3 straight seasons with them getting a win. We'll see what actually happens with that there. The only team, all these teams were in the only way, yeah. So Ole Miss and TCU were not represented in their conference championships, but everybody else was. So let's see what the bracket ends up looking like. 2 straight Heismans for SMU. I've never seen 2 straight Heismans. We saw a couple videos ago, we had 2 wins for Oklahoma for the Heisman. Was the first and third season, 2 straight wins. Marcel Reed obviously transfers in after Kevin Jennings won it last season. All right, we are going to a bowl game. We'll be taking a number 15 LSU in the Vegas Bowl, the SRS Distribution Vegas Bowl. Some bowl games, I'm like, do you really need that much marketing for SRS Distribution? It's probably B2B business. So why would you need a bowl game distribution? I don't know. Let's look at the bracket here. Okay, so we do again get a purple team as the 12 seed. Can we get 3 straight wins? The problem is they go against the 2 straight Heisman Trophy winning SMU Mustangs out of the Farmers division, the Farm Animals division. So we'll see what happens there. Tennessee gets a first round bye. Texas does not make the bowl game. What ended up happening there? So SMU beating them knocked them out. That is rough. So we don't get to see Texas and Miami in the national championship. Miami is undefeated, looking for their second straight national championship. Well on their way to best team in the video, which I think they were last video as well. Florida and Georgia will look to see if the world's largest cocktail party can produce an upset candidate for Miami in the Peach Bowl. Ole Miss and Michigan, both in for their first time. Winner will take on Penn State, who's been in 3 straight. TCU and Clemson will face off. They've both been in twice. Clemson might have even been in 3 times. Winner will take on USC, who's in for the first time. So we get 4 new teams: Washington, Ole Miss, Michigan, and USC all in for their first time. Miami, Georgia, Penn State I want to say Clemson have all been in for 3 straight. Florida and TCU and Tennessee and SMU SMU are in for their second. So we'll see. First off, can Washington keep the streak alive? We lost the bowl game, but I got another head coaching job. I'm heading to Western Kentucky. So it doesn't matter how good you are, you will always get a head coaching job in CFB 26. Washington kills the streak. Typical. Washington loses by 20 points to SMU. We get our first 4-5 matchup of the video. The winner will take on the winner of Miami and Georgia. Georgia wins the world's largest cocktail party by 24 points, and they get a Peach Bowl against Miami. So Miami might not get their second national championship of the video. Penn State and Ole Miss are facing off after Ole Miss won by 14, and Clemson beat TCU by 22. They will take on USC. So I think Miami has already clinched the best team in the video because they went to a semifinal. Have any of these teams gone to a semifinal? I think Clemson has. No, Clemson lost in their first season. Penn State has not. So yeah, Miami has already clinched the best team in the video, but they could get their second national championship of the video. Okay, so Miami clinches the best team in the video, but we are very much alive for best conference. SMU has the Farm Animals Conference on their back and an undefeated 15-0 season on the line in the Orange Bowl. They're playing Miami essentially at home, not essentially, actually at home in the semifinal. The winner of that one probably is the best team in the video. However, or best conference in the video. However, we also have the other conference that has been a runner-up in a college football playoff, which is the Warriors division, and they are playing each other in the bottom there in the Cotton Bowl, Ole Miss versus USC. So, here's the setup. If Miami wins, regardless of what happens in the national championship game, Colors/Weather Phenomena wins the college football mascot conference video. If SMU wins, then it will come down to the Farm Animals and the Warriors division to see who actually wins best conference. There's still stakes in this video, even though Miami has dominated. And Miami continues to dominate. They win by 28 against SMU, ruining SMU's perfect season. They could have gone 17-0, the most wins we would have seen. They could have gone 17-0. They don't get it. They lose by 28. USC gets a victory for the Warriors division. They have clinched the best conference, but we could at least see 3 different conferences win if USC can get a victory here. It doesn't happen. Miami gets 2 of 3 championships. The Colors/Weather Phenomena Conference is represented in all 3 and would have won all 3 if Alabama could have pulled it off last season over Texas. But some accomplishments of this video. All 10 conferences made it into the college football playoff during the video, and we had 2 straight seasons where the 12 seed got an upset. So I'm going to say this is a great accomplishment. If you haven't watched the video yesterday, check it out because that will give you a full view of Miami's dominance over the past 2. Other than that, we will see you Monday. Toodaloo!